Hello, thanks for joining us on AFL Riverina TV. I'm Lauren Markham. This week, our Riverina League preview takes in netball as well as football, with the coach of the league's leading A-grade side, Jemima Norbury, joining us, as well as Jimmy Kennedy from the football team. Thanks for coming in, guys.
No worries.
Now, Jemima, Collingullie are on a 9-game winning streak this season. How much of that is driven by the disappointment of last year's grand final loss to Mango?
Obviously, there is going to be some sort of influence coming off a grand final loss. But it's not something that we really tried to focus on, especially in pre-season and leading into the season in general. I think this season, most of it's just coming from having a good side and working well together. We've really committed to training. We've upped our ante and really wanted to push ourselves, not just in the way of winning, but really getting good, solid leads and continuing to play consistently for 4 quarters, which is something that did mark our grand final. Like, we didn't play consistently for the full 4 quarters, and so obviously leading into this season, that's something we've focused on.
So have you done much different this season, and what else are you happy with?
Yeah, so we've brought in a few young players. Changes for the lineup has been good, but these are players that can play multiple positions. So being able to be versatile and change up what was something that we didn't have last year. Obviously we've got a few shooting options as well as defence options, so it's nice to be able to bring a mix in if you feel that you're getting a little bit complacent, and it means that players have to fight for their position as well.
And now you've beaten everybody, of course. Do you feel that that puts a bit of a target on your back, or is there anything that you need to do different for the back end of the season to switch it up a little bit?
Certainly does put a bit of a target, but it's not something we really want to focus on. We know that every team is going out gunning to beat us, but I think that's also a good thing because it keeps the girls motivated. It's keeping us, strong at training. Obviously, every week we're trying to put in the hard yards. We're not wanting to fall into a trap of just being complacent, resting on our morals. So I think that's really good. I don't mind the target really. Personally, I think it's great. It gives us something to strive for, and we need to keep improving, obviously, to get the win this year. So.
Jim, having a look at the footy now, you did one of the hardest things in sport, and that's defend a premiership. What are you going to have to do in the next month or so if you want to be in finals again this year?
Start winning games of footy first, but just being a bit more consistent, probably playing a bit more defensive footy. We're probably a bit too attack, guns away, sort of blows away footy, so we just need to start tightening up a few screws defensively. We might start winning a few more games.
And now Tigers are unbeaten. You came close to them earlier in the season, but they didn't kick 2 straight that day. What will it take for you or anyone else to stop them this year?
Just run with them, I suppose. They've got a good depth. That's what's their strength. So their bottom 5 players, they're as good as nearly their top 5 players. You just got to match them across the whole park, really.
And now, so if you met this Tigers side in last year's preliminary final, who would have won, do you think?
It's hard to tell. They're definitely a better side this year, but like anything can happen on the day, so it would have been a pretty even contest, really.
Now, Jemima, let's quickly get your thoughts on the other games. You beat the Goannas last week. Do you think they'll bounce back again, mate?
Yes, certainly. I don't think they brought their best netball. It was probably one of the games that we feared coming up to, and we worked really hard at training, which worked for us. But they just weren't playing their best netball. They're definitely capable of more, and I think they'll bring that coming off the loss that they had to us. So it'll certainly be a test for them. I think if they can get their head in the game and get a good win this week, then they'll be back on track and ready to go for the rest of the season.
Now, Turvey can shore up their spot in the 5 against Griffith, but what about Leeton at home to Narendra? How do you think that one will go?
Look, I actually have had a look at some of the matches and the score margins, and I think that's actually going to be one of the games to watch this week. We had a tough match against Leeton and again against Narendra. They kind of pushed us. They were one of the ones that we found difficult, whether it was just that their play is different to the way we play. So it was really difficult to try and get over them. Once we got away with it, it seemed to work well, but I think they're very similar in the way that they play, so it's going to be a really good match. And they're both butting for that to lock in that top 5 position too as well. So I think that it'll be a great match.
Now, Jim, in terms of football, the pick of the other games this week is Ganmain at home to Mango. You saw the Goannas last week. How do you think that one will go?
It'll be a hard game of footy. Mango were very physical. They tackled well and applied a lot of pressure, and I know Ganmain sort of pride himself on that too. So I think it'll be pretty tough contest, so 50-50, in my opinion.
And now Griffith and Leeton need to beat Turvey and Narrandera if they're serious about finals. What have you made of them this season? Are they genuine contenders or do they have a bit to prove still?
No, they're both genuine contenders. We've only played Griffith at home and they're tough at home, so they've definitely picked up Guy Orden. He's come back and they've got a few good young players. They've improved, and Leeton are the same. They're old, experienced blokes have all stayed and they've added a couple of good players, so yeah, they're contenders.
Now, if you guys were to move into the 5, who's going to come out?
Geez, don't know. Whoever loses the most.
Well, look, hopefully we find out for your sake. And Jemima, the Tigers are the obvious contender, but who else has the game to give finals a shake?
Look, I think Mango, like we said, if they can consistently bring it over the next 10 weeks, that they will definitely be a side to beat. They've got quite a lot of young players, so they obviously just need to work on their mental state when they're playing, because I think that was one thing that kind of hindered them last week. Tigers will definitely be a formidable team to beat, though. They're strong across the board. Obviously, looking at their stats, which I've had a bit of a look at, they're really strong in the attack. I think Tigers just need to work on their defensive lineup, and Mango just need to kind of work at getting through that mid-court. So I really think that those two are going to be the ones to watch. But Narrandera, like I said, we had a really tough match against them, so they're definitely up there, and Leeton as well.
And now you're out in front now, so what's the big focus for you guys heading towards finals?
Just consistency, playing for full 4 quarters, and when you are out there that you're playing that 15 minutes hard and fast netball, and just relying on your basics. So when things start to get tough, go back to basic netball. It seems to work for us. And then also how we warm up. The biggest wins that we've had this season have been from a good first quarter. So I think that's something that's really important. If we warm up properly, we get on the court, we're firing, and that seems to be one of the biggest things that's got us over the line this year. So,
well, thanks to you both for coming in, and best of luck for the next couple of months.
Thank you.
Thank you.